From WBBZ-TV Sports, it's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Beat the Champ. It is week number 2 here at the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls. We have had some drama and some challenges already from our stop here in Niagara County.
Yes, and expect more. We have some great bowling coming up and 2 people that are totally competitors, totally competitive, who we have not seen face off against each other. 2
of the best bowlers in Western New York, Chuck Jagodzinski and Mike Zarcone. That's our first match of the day. What a way to get started.
I know. Can it be all downhill after that? I don't think so.
Yeah, and if there are any guys that are going to be able to master the very difficult lane conditions here at the Rapids Bowling Center, it's those 2 guys. Your scores have not been as high as they normally are.
Right. The scores are a little bit lower, but it's really showing that these guys have to have good strategy. It's not about just getting strike after strike after strike anymore.
Right. It's Jeff Pohlman and Dave Zajac. They are on our list of bowlers along with Chuck and Mike, so this should be another great episode of Beat the Champ. So without any more delay, let's get rolling.
I'm with a familiar face, Mike Zarcone. We're here for our monthly conversation. Sports Shot this month here at Rapids.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Definitely played different pair to pair. So we'll see what happens on this pair.
Well, judging from how the show has went so far, it does also vary lane to lane. So get a little bit of practice, get really prepared. But you're used to seeing stuff like this, are you not?
Yeah, we see it quite a bit, and it's going to be interesting. As much as Chuck and I have been on the show, we've never bowled each other, so this will be a first.
Well, 6 weeks into the bowling season, how's league going for you?
So far, so good. So hopefully we keep going.
All right, well, any 300s yet?
Nope.
Might be today. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
All right.
For Chuck Jagodzinski, this is his 11th appearance on Beat the Champ. Mike Zarcone's 17th appearance on Beat the Champ. So we've got 2 guys that are as much regulars as anything, but regular winners as well, too. So
now you just got to throw a ball. There you go. Sorry.
Chuck will start things off here in our first match of the day. And a bit of an unfortunate split leave there for Chuck on the first frame.
Yeah, this one thing, Chuck's approach is very, very quick. Like, he just gets up there and gets after it. So if his feet get fast, like in this case, I think his feet got a little fast and he pulled it a little inside his target. Wow, what a try.
Almost got it. So it'll be an open in the first frame for Chuck Jagodzinski. We are pleased to welcome in as our guest commentator here for this match. Fresh off the amazing run of 14 wins in a row, and Jeremy Zimmerman is here. And first off, just congratulations, and I know you were sorry to see it end. You knew it was going to at some point, but what an amazing experience for all of us to be a part of it, Jeremy.
Thank you.
What's kind of going through your head now? There's probably a little bit of relief for you, isn't there?
Actually, it's kind of fun that it's over because now I can try again at Island next month, one of my favorite houses, thanks to Mike Malwitz getting me introduced there. But, I mean, just thinking about 14 in a row and all the breaks, and then today I caught the break in the second game, it's like, is it really going to start again? But all good things come to an end.
So you will say that a lot of things have to go your way in order to log 14 wins in a row, right?
Oh, 100%, absolutely. I think back to last month at Classic, and I can name at least 3 matches right in a row where I thought, okay, the streak's over, you had fun, you know, there's always next month, and then boom, the break happened, and it's like, wow.
Right, the Mike Kemp match comes to mind where he needed a single pin to beat you in the 10th frame, and he missed it. And that may not happen to Mike Kemp the rest of his life.
Spares, as Carl Kenyon says.
And we've talked an awful lot about it, Jeremy. I think the overriding characteristic of your win streak was you were in, I don't know what the percentage of your spares were, but it had to be well over 80% where you finished off every possible spare.
Spares are key, and I don't mean to emphasize on it, but that's how I grew up. I mean, anybody can throw a double, but you make your spares, you're always going to be in the match 90% of the time at least. I mean, look at the second game, for instance. We both were struggling. I made spares, and it came down to one shot. I got the break, but if I don't make those spares, the match is over before you even know.
Got a good one going here already between Mike Zarcone and Chuck Jagodzinski. Mike has had strikes in the first 2 frames. Jeremy, I want you to give everybody a feel for, I don't want to say that it's changed your life, but you know, this amazing run within the bowling community, you become a little bit of a celebrity, a big celebrity within the bowling community. Have you noticed the change?
I've had so many people on Facebook congratulate me, and I mean, I didn't even post it on there, but they kind of word of mouth, you know, you don't have to post things, people know. Just all the congratulations, and I noticed even out of the crowd today, people I don't even know walk up to me saying, wow, congratulations, such a good feat. And you know, that just makes me happy and gives me more encouragement to come back and start over, instead of just saying,
Well,
you know, it's done.
I do want to say, Jeremy, that I think Paul and I have we both comment on it, that your demeanor has changed. You're a lot more confident. You're a lot calmer. You know, like you always got very, very hyped up and very excited, but you come here today very calm. And I think this has been a great thing for you as a bowler. I think it establishes you in the bowling community in a way you'd like to be established in the bowling community. You know?
Yeah.
So I think this has been an excellent experience for you.
Great spare pickup by Mike Zarcone there. The 4-pin spare pickup in the 4th frame. Very impressive.
You know what's ironic about what you just said, Sue, is that this week me and Mason were home, not to talk about him, but we were home watching TV, and I'm like, you know what, let's turn on some YouTube. And I figured, well, Beat the Champ. And I just wanted to see from like last year Island on my birthday how I've changed. And I watched that Jeremy, and now I see this Jeremy, and it's like, man, just, I wore shorts every episode last year, and now I'm wearing pants. I'm trying to be different, not so mad. And, you know, a lot of things, I think having Mason helped me a lot, you know, attitude-wise.
Yeah, you know, and I would think the success helps make success in any walk of life makes you believe that you're doing it the right way, and that you know, you have confidence in yourself. And it sounds to me like that success has led you down that road a little bit.
A lot of practice, a lot of good people that are helping me, and you know, just staying focused, not giving up. It's what it takes.
Take a lot of pride, Jeremy. I mean, you've really come a long way, and this has been a great thing for you. Parlay this and keep it going, because this was a life changer. This is a game changer for you, and it's good that, you know, it's nice that Be the Champ could be a part of your story. And you know, I've known you for a long time, and I can only tell you, just keep up the great work and take this great experience and go forward with it.
Thank you.
And you know, it's been great. I couldn't ask for a better story, really.
Was there a point, Jeremy, you're a confident guy, you're a confident bowler, as well you should be, but there was a point during this streak where it went from just being a confident bowler to just feeling a little invincible about the way you're bowling?
I had that one match, and I'm not trying to sound humble or rude or nothing. It was honestly probably the last match at Classic, even though that was probably one of my worst ones. After I had shot 268 against Jeff Dio, a good friend of mine, I said, that's it, I'm gonna do this. I mean, that was probably the highest peak confidence I had the whole 14 games. Today was tough. My streak on this is amazing, but on this particular pattern, I'm not really that solid, but I still don't give up. And confidence is everything. So.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because while these guys are bowling on the lanes, I can sit back here and pretend I know what's going on, and you know, I mean, I can observe, but you are actually physically on these lanes. What is the difference between 3 and 4 that you saw?
For me personally, lane 3 was a lot tighter. No matter what I did, I couldn't. Obviously, everybody knows I don't have a hand like Mike does, but I couldn't get the ball to hook on lane 3. And then that started playing into my mental game for lane 4. But lane 4 for me was a lot more open.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
I had missed room on lane 4. Obviously, that was there. But lane 3, it just felt like I had to hit a dime, and I couldn't do it.
So watching these two guys bowl and seeing that, you know, like Mike's inside of everybody, and right now Mike looks like he's got a great shot, deeper than you could play.
Right.
Any thought, like a prediction on how, where the advantage is going to go to here?
The advantage of
like how they approach the lanes.
Yeah.
Like, do you think this gives Mike an advantage because he can play deeper on the lane?
You can see right now the straighter guys like me and Chuck. Eventually, you got to start moving left in this pattern. And guys like Mike with the hand, they're able to open it up and play the different entry angle. Is where me and Chuck were pretty much similar in games. And once that straight's gone, it's tough to score. You got to start forcing it, and it's just not that easy to do when this.
Right.
Well, Jeremy, what you've accomplished, a 14-match winning streak that stretched over 3 different months at 2 different bowling centers, high scores, low scores, 10th frame wins, 6th frame wins, an awful lot of luck, sometimes things happening that shouldn't happen, never happen. It was amazing. It was great television. It was great drama. It was great sports. We all want to root for people to do well, and I think there's no question that fans of this show are now fans of Jeremy Zimmerman.
I can't deny it. I had people that I don't even know walk up and congratulate me. It's a great feeling to have them people behind you. But again, like I said, all good things come to an end, and now we're going to start it up again, hopefully
Well,
next
I'll
month.
say now the pressure's on you to start a new one at a place that you're familiar with at Island Lanes next month. All right, this match, Mike Zarcone got off to a great start, starts striking, stumbled a little bit. Chuck starts to match him with strikes, but then here's a tough lead. Look at that spare. Unbelievable for Chuck Jagodzinski, just when you think the match might be slipping away.
Well, he does have. Mike is up 40 pins with only three frames to go. So Mike's all those strikes is really established a lead. No, go ahead, Jeremy.
I just wanted to speak on one thing. If you notice, between the game I just lost to Chuck and now a new week, he's at least 10 boards left to where he was. That's the transition I was talking about. Guys like me and him have trouble when we have to do that. And as you can see, the straight shot wasn't working for him. So
Yeah, and Mike's really
Right.
in a comfort zone for himself, where he's used to playing.
great shot.
Yeah, Mike's on a roll. And you know what? If Mike heads towards a win, which he has just basically done, it will end one of the. We talk about streaks, Jeremy. Your streak of 14 in a row. The streak of Mike not having won a match this year on the show was incredibly even more harder to explain maybe than your streak a little bit. So that's going to come to an end now. And I know Mike's a little frustrated by that because he's such a good bowler, and that 2017 winless streak will come to an end as Mike Zarcone's going to get his 13th overall win here on Beat the Champ. That just clinched it. So Mike Zarcone will move on with a victory here as he continues to challenge Jeremy for the overall wins total here on Beat the Champ. A win for Mike Zarcone. We come back to wrap this one up and talk to Chuck and get you ready for match number 2 when Beat the Champ at the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls returns right after this. .233 to 191, our final score as Mike Zarcone defeats Chuck Jagodzinski. Mike seemed to be kind of locked in and determined, didn't he, Chuck?
Yeah, he did. Well, if I missed it, I got a split or a washout, so I had like no room out there. So, but he bowled great, so I just had no room for error.
Right. I do want to ask you, that 5-pin spare pickup was pretty amazing. Take us through that one.
I just moved left and used the oil and hope the ball slides between the half pin and the 6-pin. And got a break and made it. So.
Right. He always provides us a little drama, even when he doesn't win, right?
Oh, yeah. I watch Chuck bowl here every Tuesday, so I understand the drama he provides.
Right. All right. Pat Donovan from the Rapids Bowling Center. Give him a little back on the drama front. All right. Hey, Chuck, a big win, obviously, over Jeremy last week, and always good to see you. You are as much a regular on this show as anybody. We love having you around. Yeah. So.
That was my only win of the year, too, against Jeremy.
Well, there's a little time left in 2017, so get to work on that. And Chuck was the winner of our Dirt Cheap TV for being the top 24 qualifier as well, too. So he is not going home empty-handed. When we come back, Mike Zarcone and Jeff Pohlman, match number 2 here at the Rapids Bowling Center. Beat the Champs back right after this.
Well, another Pohlman, another month of Beat the Champ.
That's right.
What's your strategy today?
Well, today is going to be about making very good shots. Obviously, the scores are lower this month. The shot is much more challenging, so it's about repetition, hitting that same spot each time, and making spares.
Did you find you were able to use the same ball from pair to pair, or did you have to make those kind of changes?
Through qualifying, it changed a little bit. I threw 2 different balls, and it looks like I may have to throw a different ball for the show with as tight as the lanes are. But Mike and Chuck hopefully will break them down a little bit and open them up.
Well, we know this is going to be a great show because we've got some great bowlers out there, including yourself. So good luck today.
Thank you.
It's Jeff Pohlman and Mike Zarcone, match number 2 here at the Rapids Bowling Center. It feels weird for the first time in about 3 months we didn't have another streak because, you know, remember it was Kevin Bianco's 10 in a row, then he loses to Jeremy Zimmerman, who then wins 14 in a row. So I was expecting Chuck Jagodzinski just to rattle off a whole bunch of wins, but Mike Zarcone made sure that wasn't going to happen. Wouldn't put it past Mike to run off a little streak here as well, too.
Yeah, you know what, we've seen Mike struggle, you know, last bunch of times he's been on the show, and you know, he's been on sports shots that I thought would have been favorable to him.
It's usually his strength, the tougher oil conditions.
And seen him struggle on it, but you know, not this time. This is the game that I expect to see from Mike, and he's been bang on so far.
6th appearance on the show for Jeff Pohlman. 43 years old from Clarence Center, full-time occupation as a teacher. 1 win in those appearances for Jeff. Last time we saw him, he was one of Jeremy Zimmerman's victims here at the Rapids Bowling Center a couple of months ago, even though it was kind of on the other end of the house here.
You know, I'm going to say one more thing, and then we're going to let everybody else have their day in the sun.
Yep.
You know, Jeremy had his time, but that was meant to happen for Jeremy for a reason.
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, luck, breaks, whatever the case might be, that was meant to happen in his life. So I'm glad to see everybody's back on the show. Everybody's got another opportunity. But that was a life changer for the young man.
It sure was.
You know?
And that's what's cool about sports, and not just this show, but sports in general can help people grow and mature and change their lives. And if a little bit of that happened for Jeremy Zimmerman, then we are certainly honored to have been a little bit of a part of that.
And I hope
so we didn't have anything to do with it other than putting it on TV for everybody to see.
Now
he did it.
The worst thing that could happen for Jeremy is to have to go to Island next month. But we'll see what comes. That's a whole other issue.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, again, we got caught up in the drama of it. It was certainly fun to be a part of, and you can't help but root, you know, for somebody like Jeremy. And when he starts winning after winning, you get caught up in it. It's a streak. People love streaks in sports, so it was fun to see. But you know, now we're back to our normal, incredible level of competition here, where there's more unpredictability to it.
Right. Now we've got 2 very different games here with Mike and Jeff, but also with 2 different games, we have 2 very different personalities.
It's strikes to start off the first 2 frames. Mike Zarcone now overall at 13 wins and 12 losses here on Beat the Champ. Those 13 wins are just too shy of Jeremy Zimmerman. So, you know, give Mike a little, dangle a carrot in front of Mike, and he'll chase it down. So now he's got a chance to go back up. Jeremy passed him for most wins. Mike's got a chance to do that as well, too. Jeff will have something to say about that.
Well, Mike's a very well-deserved Hall of Fame bowler. I mean, and a young man to be going to the Hall of Fame. So what he has accomplished have to have been great to go in that young, you know. So
49 years old from Tonawanda. Mike Zarcone works full-time for Thruway Fasteners, but again, as Sue mentioned, former Obenauer Masters champion and last year Hall of Fame Buffalo bowler. Two strikes and a spare to start things off in the first 3 frames for Mike Zarcone. Jeff Pohlman's got spares in the first 2, and he will get to work on frame number 3. 43 years old from Clarence, as I mentioned. He's got his parents, Joe and Sandy Pohlman, here. He's got his in-laws, Bob and Carol Thompson. The only member of the Pohlman family not here to watch him is his brother, but that may change because his brother is 2 bowlers away. So not only does Jeff have a chance to get a winning streak going, if he wins this match and he wins the next match, he will get a chance to bowl against his brother. We have not had that happen on Beat the Champ, a brother versus brother matchup yet.
Well, this Pohlman family are just incredibly well-raised human beings. They're teachers, and they're confident, and they're just good people, good family. I'm sure they'll handle it with dignity. But I really feel like we've had that talk before with them, saying that it was a holiday was going to be difficult. So I think we've been faced with the possibility of those two facing each other before.
Yeah. And the reason why Joe isn't here yet to watch his brother is Joe's teaching, and and couldn't get out any earlier than he needed to in order to be here for the taping of our show. So something to watch, and a couple of nice strikes for Jeff Pohlman. He's determined to put some wins together here.
Little inside information. I bowl at Clarence on Monday nights with Joe, and first thing, I think right after hello was, oh, by the way, I have an opportunity to bowl I might be bowling my brother in the third show. So it's always sitting there real close to the surface, wanting to take his brother on.
Anybody that thinks that those two guys aren't thinking about it is kidding themselves, even though those two guys have probably bowled against each other 1,000 times in their life. To do it on TV for bragging rights, big. Nice spare pick up there from Mike Zarcone.
We're going to be back with more Beat the Champ bowling action in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
What would lead to that decision? I always like you to explain a little bit.
I mean, I still think that what brought him to this bowling ball was lane 3, but lane 3 is tighter down the lane, so right in front of the pins. It doesn't hook as much as, say, lane 4 is, but if you can throw the same ball on both lanes, you really want to, because no matter how close the balls are drilled, they still feel they can still feel subtly different. So if you can throw the same ball, you really prefer to do that.
7th frame, Jeff Pohlman being pushed now by Mike Zarcone.
Again, this is where the tight down the lane, the oil down the lane is coming out. It's showing Jeff has a little bit of hold on lane 3, but on 4, because there's less oil down the lane, it hooks up a little bit high on him.
Spare pickup for Jeff Pohlman.
And because of the way Mike's playing him, you can't see it as dramatically, because he's going, left to right and really looping it. He's more direct, and it's affecting Jeff more than it's affecting Mike.
We talked about it in the first show last week, but certainly can't hurt to reiterate the characteristics of the oil pattern that these guys are dealing with here.
Yeah, but in this case, I think they're dealing with not only that, they're dealing with the characteristics of the lane, because the lanes are not playing the same, and so they have to adjust to that on top of the fact this is a sports shot, and it's changing. And we knew that as the day went on, they would break down somewhat. You wouldn't have that fresh. But because Jeremy threw it right to left and pushed the oil down the lane, this is how it's set up, and that's why as the day goes on, you never can tell who it's going to favor, because where people are playing on the lane affects how the lane changes.
Now, Mike Zarcone starting to really set up to the left, particularly on this lane, to try to get the action to come the right way. Almost was able to get enough for a strike there in frame number 8. We'll have to go for the spare. But
I like to say that Mike has a trick. It's kind of like a scoop at the bottom. He has a lot of rotation, but he's still pretty straight through the fronts. And even though his direction, his angle is, say, left to right, like you said, he's opening it up, he gets through the fronts so clean that he has a lot of recovery in the back, because he doesn't use his ball up early. And part of the secret to his great carry is that he retains a lot of energy down the lane with his bowling ball.
And that's all part of the characteristic Mike Zarcone sound effect that comes from the way he throws the ball 7 or 8 feet down the lane.
Yeah,
you get that
loft,
you get that very signature clunking sound there, right? Which,
yeah.
If you're not even watching and you hear that, you know, oh, Mike Zarcone must be here. See, there it is.
Yeah. Well, if you can take the heads out of the dynamics which he does. Like, he's not affected by the front of the lane really being dry because he can loft it right over that front of the lane, the set down point. It does nothing but retain energy for your bowling ball, makes it hit that much harder.
So ninth frame now for Jeff Pohlman. He's got some work to do.
Yeah, he's in a must-strike situation here.
Yeah,
And he
there's
does.
one. That's huge. Cuts that lead in half. So what does Jeff need here in the 10th frame?
So what this has created here is only a 10-pin match. So it's going to come up to the 10th frame, you know, no matter what. But clearly, striking out is going to give him the best. This first ball here is very important. Oh.
Doesn't get it.
Okay, so we're gonna make sure he gets this spare.
Just the one pin there, that 4 pin that would not go down.
Spare strike is very important here because if he spare strikes and gets maximum count, he's gonna force Mike to at least have to get 9 spare. Count's very important here.
So a crucial final ball here for Jeff Pohlman as he tries to come up with his second career Beat the Champ victory. There's your count. That's what he needed.
So what's happened here is Mike has to spare. If he goes 9 miss, it's a tie. So what Mike does here is very important. I mean, if he throws a strike, that's going to be good enough. But he needs a mark here to cement this match.
A strike will win it.
A strike
spare
or
will win it.
Right.
There's your strike. Don't usually doubt Mike Zarcone. When he knows what he needs to do to win, he usually is able to respond, and Mike does with a 10th frame first ball strike that clinches a victory for him and 2 in a row and moves him on to our next match. So all we've been doing is talking about streaks. Mike Zarcone is on one right now. He will finish things off, his final ball, and it's another strike for Mike Zarcone. So a big win for Mike, 2 in a row now. 233 to 214, our final score. Jeff, you bowled really well. You did what you needed to do in the 10th frame, but you bowled Mike Zarcone enough to know that you can't leave the door open for him.
Absolutely. Bowling against the best sometimes just makes you tighten up just a little bit. I was a little inside on many of those shots on the right lane, and it just cost me a couple extra marks, and Mike deserves it. He bowled great.
Right. I know we were talking about it. We were excited for the possibility of you bowling against your brother, and that always will exist next month as well, too. Was that something that was going on in your head a little bit, maybe before the match?
Absolutely. I knew I had to get through 2 great bowlers with Mike and Dave to get to my brother. So, I wish him the best of luck in his match. I think he's going to bowl great on this shot. So, we'll see.
Yeah, we get more Pohlmans in next week's show, so we're not done with the Pohlman family yet. Pat?
Well, I think it came down to carry that game, to be honest with you. And, it was a well-fought match. So.
Thank you.
A little consolation for you, Jeff, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
All right. It's 2 wins in a row for Mike Zarcone. Can he make it 3? We'll find out when we return to the Rapids Bowling Center. You're watching Beat the Champ.
I'm here with Dave Zajac, Mr. Niagara Falls. Is this the normal condition you see here at Rapids that you've found on Beat the Champ this month?
No, it's a little bit different than the last time it was here, but still pretty challenging. Pretty keeps the guys in. You can play out, but still pretty different.
So do you think that your coaching abilities and your knowledge of bowling helps you when this condition gets to be a little more challenging like this?
I think so, and over the summer I attended the Bowl U classes at Brad Angelo Lanes that Brad and Tom Source hold, so that actually opened my eyes to a couple new techniques and things to look at in the lane, so hopefully that pays off today.
Yeah. Do you agree that preparation is the best thing that you can have, and having that knowledge gives you that preparation?
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
All right. Well, good luck today.
Thank you.
Well, if it's not Zimmerman or Zazowski, then it's what we have in this match, which is Zarcone and Zajac. The last letter in the alphabet is first in Buffalo bowling. So we promise that this match between the two Z's will not put you to sleep.
No.
It will be the exact opposite. Mike
No.
Zarcone and David Zajac, third match of the day here at Rapids Bowling Center.
These are two really great bowlers in Western New York right here. We don't get to see a lot of Dave Zajac. He's a bit of he comes from Niagara Falls, so he's in a different association than the Buffalo Bowling Association. But what a great bowler he is, and I'm sure we're going to see that today.
It's an opening spare for Mike Zarcone here in this match, and a slap of the hands with David Zajac, who is 26 years old, from here in Niagara Falls, works for Niagara County, and is also the head bowling coach at Damon College. This is David's second appearance here on Beat the Champ. We saw him the last time here at the Rapids Bowling Center when he was one of Kevin Bianco's victims in the 10-match winning streak. All right, now the first thing that jumps out at you is that's a rather unusual looking bowling ball, isn't it?
Yeah, so what he's done is he's taken a urethane ball, which a urethane is not something that they're typically using anymore. It's brought out for difficult conditions because it doesn't read the lane as severely as like the new technology, but he sanded it down to like the grit on that is incredible. That's why it's almost white. He's got it sanded so much, so that's gonna make it grab.
And it's pretty straight too, isn't it?
Well, shouldn't be because of the sanded, because of the surface of the ball. It picks up, but the core doesn't make it be as aggressive as the new technology bowling ball. So. It's a weird dynamic. You're getting something different when you take a ball and alter its surface to that extent.
Well, that was anything but straight, but it's a good spare. Second frame for David Zajac. Interesting, right? So you said, again, we've seen guys choose different balls here with the conditions that we're seeing from this middle road sport shot pattern here at the Rapids Bowling Center, and that's, like you said, a bit of an extreme decision. We'll see whether it pays off.
Yeah.
Here's Mike Zarcone, second frame. Big strike right there from Mike Zarcone, working on 2 wins in a row, up to 14 overall Beat the Champ wins, which puts him just 1 behind our overall leader, Jeremy Zimmerman.
I think it's a risky move to take out urethane. At one time, as bowling balls progressed and they went, from plastic, urethane was the big thing, and urethane gave you hit and, better carry than its predecessor. But oil has kept up with technology, which has created the high rev rate balls that we have now. So it's risky to take a ball that is, old technology and try to make it work. I mean, it's not an old ball. It's actually a relatively new ball. But I think people take it out to like smooth down, lanes that are squirrely.
So what do you think inspired David to make that choice?
I don't know. Do you remember Mike Mallets having the ball that he insisted on using that he named his mom?
Yes.
So I think it's, to some extent, you think it's either going to give you a great advantage or it's going to just kill you.
Right.
And I don't know. I wouldn't.
All right, now he'll go back to a different ball here for the spare ball because he's got those 3 pins staring at him to try to finish off the spare. When you talk about grip, and grip is important, but I think I've learned from you over the last couple of years that sometimes too much grip is a problem. Not snow tires we're talking about here. Too much grip can actually hurt you, can't it?
It depends what the oil pattern is, and it depends how much oil is out on the lane. So, this is one big game of physics out here, as much as it looks like it's just people, overwhelming the lanes with their bowling ability. I mean, we see straight bowlers people playing 5, people playing 15, left-handers. We see all of it, and it's mastering that game of physics that gets you to the top. It doesn't matter how much you hook it. It matters that you line up to the lanes and get a ball that matches.
9 pins on the first throw of the 4th frame for David Zajac. And he'll shift back to that shinier ball here to try to grab the spare. Cumulative average for David. Ooh, that was close. 224, the cumulative average for him. Bowls at Kenmore Lanes on Thursday nights, bowls at the Bowlodrome on Friday nights as the regular leagues that he bowls in. Former collegiate junior college bowling team champion is David Zajac.
Well, it'd be really interesting to ask David what his reasoning is for making that decision to throw that ball, to even have that ball in his arsenal. So
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
the bowling balls, and every company's coming out with their version of, you know, the newest thing. And like, these pro shop guys have to continually keep up with this technology and then impress it to other people, because that's where the knowledge is coming from. There's a lot of staff members, you know, we talk about some of these bowling ball companies having an amateur staff, and you know, they're also out there to get the word out because these bowling balls change so quickly.
Oh, just did not get the pin to fly over there and take down the 10. That message was not delivered.
Even though lane 3 is tighter down the lane, that ball still grabbed early. So that is a very aggressive bowling ball he's using. And when I say grabbed early, it started to make its hook down the lane sooner than Dave really wanted it to.
Spare in the 6th frame for David Zajac. How do you know, this is kind of an advice to the everyday bowler question, you know, if you've got a ball that you like and it works well, but maybe it's an older ball, what's your tipping point for keeping it because you're comfortable with it, and or moving to the next,
you know what,
maybe a couple of different levels of
technology? That's a great question, because I argue with that often, that I've had some real great balls over the years, some real favorites. And when do you retire that bowling ball? And when does that become not your go-to ball anymore? And I think it's when something new comes on the market and you're watching everybody around you be very successful with it and you want it too. And I think they just evolve out. I think that any of us could go take one of our favorite balls from 2-3 years ago and strike with it just as much, you know, but you just get caught up in the new technology and you want to keep up with the Joneses, so you just naturally buy new bowling balls, and it's maybe not even necessary.
We're here in Niagara Falls at the Rapids Bowling Center. Next month, we move on to Grand Island, to Malwitz's Island Lanes, which means for many of us, we don't just fly through Grand Island this time. We're actually going to stop in Grand Island. I know we've got qualifying getting ready to go as well, too.
It's real important to go check the website on the qualifying, because Mike has a tremendous amount of squads. He's got weekday squads, he's got late squads, he's got early squads. But the interesting thing about next month for all of the bowlers in the area is that the top 24 qualifier to make the show is going to be on a Wednesday night as opposed to the typical Sunday night, because coming up against football, we know how this town is with football. And
especially lately.
Yep, and it hurts entries when you're trying to go up against a Bills game. So Mike, you know, gave that some thought, and so it's going to be on a Wednesday night instead, and the taping's going to be on a Saturday. So again, you don't take a day off from work. We expect to see good entries over at Malwitz's Island Lanes.
Well, Mike's there all the time anyway, so he just figures everybody else should be there all the time to qualify, right?
Well, he's certainly given them enough opportunity.
Last time we were at Island Lanes was last year. And guess who won 2 of the 3 weeks at Island Lanes? Mike Zarcone. Among the many places that Mike Zarcone likes to bowl in Western New York. I don't think that's a short list for Mike.
No.
Nice spare pick up there by David Zajac. That was a challenge, but a well-done challenge in the 8th frame.
So good for Mike. He made a bad shot there in the 5th, but he put it, you know, he knew it was just, he just missed a little bit to the right. He's got overall a really good shot, and he's right back on it.
5 of the last 6 have been strikes. Other than that open frame, make it 6 of the last 7. That's 3 in a row. 3 in a row open, 3 in a row since then. And this is, you can tell Mike's in a groove now. This is the Mike Zarcone that has won 14 times and has been on this show 17 times. This is the Mike we're used to seeing.
You can see it in a bowler's demeanor, can't you? When they're comfortable, and
particularly some of the guys we've gotten to know and see very regularly on the show. We saw it with Jeremy, we see it with Mike. The more you get to see guys, you know when they're locked in. Mike Zarcone's locked in right now.
And he's making ball choices too. You know, he went back to the ball he started with on lane 3 that he won the first match with. So these balls tend to be close, but you want the one that's going to give you, you know, just that little extra bit of hit.
So David Zajac heading to the 9th frame here finds himself way behind.
Great shot.
That's the way to get yourself a little closer, though. So David will slide over to the lane 3 for the 10th frame here. There's your Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. We're not decided yet here, but we're getting close, depending on what David will do here in the 10th frame. Yeah, keeps doing that. He keeps himself alive. And the margin now significantly reduced.
Well, he wants to strike out here and force Mike again to strike or spare. Same exact situation Mike was in the last match that we saw him in, where he struck in the 10th frame and ended that match.
Mike Zarcone has defeated Chuck Jagodzinski and Jeff Pohlman already on this show. Looking for a weekly sweep. And that's not what David wanted. So the inability to grab a strike there for David Zajac means that Mike Zarcone is going to come up with his 3rd consecutive victory on this week's show. David will finish things out there, and his 203 will go up on the board. And we'll let Mike finish things out here. So the Mike Zarcone that we know and love, the one that just dominates and rips through opponents, is back. We wondered where he went.
Yeah.
We wondered what happened to that Mike, but he's back now.
One thing we know from sitting back here is streaks these guys can go from, and I remember this happened with Mike Kemp. Mike Kemp had a bullseye at his back. No matter what he did, he couldn't win. And all of a sudden, it was like he had a bunch in a row. So it can change on a dime for these guys.
And Mike that didn't get what he wanted there, so it winds up as a 221 to 203 victory for Mike Zarcone, and a weekly sweep for him. The winning streak alive at 3. We'll talk to Mike. We'll get David's reaction. We'll ask him about the ball choice, and we'll wrap up this week's edition of Beat the Champ. We're back at the Rapids Bowling Center in just a moment. .221 to 203, Mike Zarcone with the winner over David Zajac. We've been waiting to ask you about the ball choice, the old school urethane ball. What made you decide to do it? And as you look back on it now, do you think it was the right call?
My decision to do it was I seen the first couple matches the guys were playing in where you should play on the pattern, but I figured there'd be less carry down and less burn on the outside, so I figured I can get the ball to the pocket. But hindsight, I should have moved in quicker. Would have came down to carry, and I think Mike still would have got me.
Your bowlers over there, Damon, gonna call you out on that one?
Well, it was a clean game, so I got that going for me, but they're probably going to call me on the ball choice for sure.
Of course they are, right, Sue?
Absolutely. Well, Mike, you said you wanted to talk to me. That means you won. Tell us a little bit about the decision making going into those adjustments on this pair.
Well, the right lane was pretty nice for me. Left lane was a little tight down the lane. That's why I switched to a straighter ball on the left lane, and worked out well for me.
What did you think when you saw him start with that urethane ball? Did you have any thoughts on that?
Hey, Dave's a good bowler. He knows what he's doing.
All right. Well said. Well said.
Yeah, so it's the 15th overall win now for Mike Zarcone, which ties him with Jeremy Zimmerman for the most overall here on Beat the Champ. But coming up next week, Mike's chance to break that tie. We will wrap up this week's stop here at the Rapids Bowling Center and get you ready for our matches next week when Sue and I return to Beat the Champ. Well, Sue, what's the old cliche? The more things change, the more they stay the same. We had our change last week from the red-hot Jeremy Zimmerman, but here we go with Mike Zarcone on a 3-match winning streak.
Yeah, well, we expected some great scores, some great bowling from the lineup that we had coming. And same thing for next week. We got a great lineup coming to take on Mike. So, you know, it's going to be tough to keep that streak up.
Mike looks like he's in the zone, to use another cliche.
Yeah, he does. It's hard to say what's going to happen going forward, but he's made some really good decisions. We've seen some interesting bowling, and we did see the scores go up. So, you know, maybe they'll just continue to rise.
So it's 3 wins in a row for Mike Zarcone. Whether he'll keep that alive and keep you busy on the scoreboard, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. So that'll be next month's show. Mike Zarcone takes that winning streak into next week's show as we got one more week of bowling here at the Rapids Bowling Center. We will see you then. Thanks for watching Beat the Champ.